What's up to season 2, episode 6 of The Office? This one was a bit weaker in my opinion. I love The Office, but it's very it's hard because I feel like the first couple of seasons they were trying to find themselves. As I said, season 3 and 4 are my favorite, but season 2 they're still trying to find their identity. We got more Pam and Jim, awkward friendship that turned into relationship. I think that Pam knows that Jim again, I think Pam knows that Jim's in love with her, and she keep him around because he give her attention. Pam, she always feel the, I think it's true of Pam. She always feel the need to tell herself that it's okay, right? There's moments where, spoiler, she becomes a salesman and she needs Jim to tell her it's okay. There's moment where, for example, the baptism, where she asks Jim, "Are we gonna be okay?" She constantly needs to be reassured, and I don't think Roy is the kind of guy to be the most reassuring. So she finds this in Jim, and even though she knows Jim likes her and um, doesn't reciprocate the feeling, I think that it's sad. I feel bad for you. Feel bad for Jim. Jim puts in so many effort, and Jim's a good dude. The episode is about again Michael being. It's weird because in Office episode there's a lot of like timeline. Let's say there's multiple timeline, right? But two of them are the same thing. Two of them is Michael having to sign the paper, right? Having to sign paper before he leaves. And Michael getting the number of the 10 and calling him to make jokes. So two timelines to say, oh, he's basically like an apt. I'm sorry, I'm critical of this episode because I know how good the Office can get, right? And I'm like, this is not it. There's some really cool moment though. So we know that Dwight is following a dojo. He's following some karate. It's funny to see that Dwight is the only adult in a class of children, and he still managed to get beat up. Where it's funny to see that Dwight again, just in his personal life, just like at work, he's had a promotion, but he still cleaned the mat. Right? Then he realized that since he's the only adult, he's the only one that don't mind to do it, that understand that it has to be done. Right? We have him again being constantly undermined and under-respected by Michael, and it's kind of funny because Dwight always has been loyal to a flaw to Michael. We see it going down a bit at the very end. We see Dwight saying, "Yo, Michael, you never had my back," but this is one of the instances where Dwight is seemingly aware that Michael doesn't have his back. He's like, "Oh, well, you disrespected me. Let's solve this in the dojo," even though Mike win. And it sucks for Dwight because Dwight is a character that is easy to hate in the first couple of seasons. Is easy to hate, but then you understand that he's a much simpler guy than usual. He's being a dick to Jim because I do like the character of Jim, but Jim is kind of like a, how can I say this? I do like Jim. I feel bad to say this, but Jim is kind of an asshole sometimes. For example, when Mike he said, "Oh, I used to be in a tough crowd," and he does like this. And if you know what it means, it's when there was a group of like people who were going to fight. People would follow the person who was going to fight and do this to encourage him. So you're seeing that Jim is doing this and he's creating problem between Mike and Dwight just because he's bored, right? He's just trying to do this because he thinks that Pam think it's funny. So he doesn't do this because it's something that needs to be done. He's just doing this to be, he's just trying to, he gets himself involved in a situation that doesn't involve him, and he's trying to create problem. And I do think there's a part of me that believes that this is super funny. This is funny because again, thinking that Michael is sure they can beat Dwight, and knowing Dwight is sure to beat Michael, is it's kind of cool, and it's kind of like in real life you'd be like, well, I kind of know what's going on, right? But in this very case, I think he instigates, and that's not cool. I mean, Dwight is kind of an asshole, but you care about him because you're aware that he's an asshole to Jim because Jim is an asshole to him. You're aware that Dwight is pretty whatchamacallit, he's pretty like he's not the most fun person, but Dwight has this work. He's taking care of his cousin who's special. It's never explained what Moses has, but there's a special thing about him. I'm thinking maybe autistic, right? And we got Dwight where he's taking care of a beet farm too, right? And you're seeing Dwight, which is the more practical. You see Dwight and you see Stanley, and Dwight, since he's involved and he's just defending himself, they get an asshole. But Stanley, in the cases, the rare cases where Stanley is pushed, he does answer, and nobody thinks that Stanley is an asshole. However, everybody thinks that Dwight's an asshole, right? It's weird. So we had the scene in the dojo. Mike C beat him. There's a couple of good cases. For example, this episode is actually there's a lot of good, there's a lot of bad. I think all of the things I said before this are bad. There's one good thing, and you kind of feel bad for Michael because, again, when he puts his emergency contact, he puts Todd Packer, and we all of us know that Todd Packer doesn't give a single shit about Michael, right? And to me, why this show is so good, why this show is truly promising, and the reason why I'm so critical of this episode is there's brilliance behind community, behind the office. There's brilliance. There's the fact that Michael puts Packer as emergency contact, and even the way he says it, you know that it's not a good thing to do. He has nobody else, and I think that Michael treats Dwight the way that Packer treats him. And I think that by doing that, he's emulating his relationship with Packer with his relationship with Dwight. And in this case, he's the Dwight of the relationship. And I do think that him being kind of an asshole to Dwight, I kind of pushing away. There's a part of me that wants to believe that Michael is smarter than he looks. There's a part of me that wants to believe that Michael is actually doing that to show Dwight, yo, don't follow me. I'm an asshole, right? Or does it just not? Or maybe it's just like a. Maybe I'm giving too much credit to Michael, and Michael just take advantage of Dwight because they can take advantage of Dwight, and it's sad because I think we all want to be Jim. I think we all want to be the popular guy, the funny guy, the entertaining guy, and I think most of us are Dwight, the stoic, boring, person that takes things too seriously, right? Dwight might be an asshole, but Dwight is constantly pushed around, and Dwight answer, and you may think he's an asshole for that, but right, that's just life, I guess. This is your boy. Stay weird. Peace.